Hello and welcome to this episode of Sabbath Worship with Ben. I hope you all will enjoy it and will have a blessed Sabbath. This week we'll have a lesson and a presentation. This week's lesson is entitled Forever Faithful. The key text for this week is, Blessed is the one who reads aloud the words of this prophecy, and blessed are those who hear it and take to heart what is written in it, because the time is near. Revelation 1 verse 3. This is based on Revelation 14, 6 to 12, and it's about the three angels' message. And we're not going to be looking at it in too much depth, but hopefully we can still be blessed by it. This is part of John's vision, which he gave to the churches, as we talked about in the past 2 weeks. And there's 3 parts as it's the three angels' message. And then the first part, it's 3 angels that John saw during his extended vision that he saw on the Lord's Day. When he was caught up and he's in the Spirit, it says in Revelation chapter 1, and he saw these things. And so there were some other angels that were speaking before. So John says that he saw another angel flying in the air, and it says that he had the eternal gospel to preach to everyone who lives on the earth, every tribe, nation, language, and people. And he said in a loud voice to fear God and to give him the glory, because the hour of judgment had come, and to worship him who made the heavens, the earth, and the sea. So in this first part, it's pretty simple. It's just angel declaring that gospel to all nations, and it really could be viewed as a representation of what we're to do, is what we're to go and to proclaim the gospel to every tongue, nation, and tribe. So what this is saying is that in the last days, that God's gospel is to be spread to everyone who lives within the earth. Every person, no matter who they are, what they speak, or what nation they're in, is going to be able to hear and to talk about the good news of God. So as Christians, it's our mission to bring about this reality so that everyone in the world can know of God's kingdom. It says that they're to worship the God who made heaven and earth. So in the second angel, it's much shorter, but it says that he followed and said that Babylon is fallen, that great city, which made all the nations drink of the maddening wine of her adulteries. And so this passage is talking about a Babylon, but not the real Babylon. It's a figurative Babylon. And so the real Babylon from the Old Testament was a nation who ignored God, who was very defiant, and they refused to listen to God's messages and warnings, and they worshipped false gods, and they brought great evil onto the nations that they influenced. And so likewise, saying that nations who do the same today, and the people who are ungodly, who spread ungodliness, and who are really doing the opposite of the work that we talked about in the first angel's message, that they'll be brought down in the end. So there's a lot deeper to go into it, but basically it's saying that in the end days that kingdoms and the nations and the people who ignore God and who have made others drink of the wine, it says, which is really their evil actions and deeds and mindset, will be punished. So finally there's a third angel's message, which was the last one, the longest, and it says, if anyone worships the beast in the image and receives its mark in their forehead or on their hand, they too will drink the wine of God's fury, which has been poured full strength into the cup of his wrath. They will be tormented with burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment will rise forever and ever. There will be no rest day or night for those who worship the beast and its image, or for anyone who receives the mark of its name. So in this part, it's talking about, again, the wrath, the cup of wrath that will be poured out, it says. And this time it talks about the beast. The beast is going to be in power at the end of the world, which is anti-God, and its image, it says. It says that if anyone worships this anti-God power and its image and receives its mark in their forehead or their hand, on their hand, that they also will receive God's wrath. Excuse me. And so we won't go into what the mark is today. Can say that the mark is given on the forehead. It represents those who agree in thought and in principle with the beast. And when it says on the hand, it's talking about those who don't agree, but they're willing to morally compromise and to follow the actions of this anti-God power, so that they will be spared, because in other verses it says that those who don't listen to the beast will not be able to buy or sell anything, and that eventually they'll be killed. And so it says that there will be no rest for anyone who worships the beast or its image, or anyone who receives the mark of its name. So in these end times we have to be very careful about what the beast is and what we are worshipping, that we're worshipping God and not this foreign power, that we're not receiving the mark, and while we won't be going over it today, I highly recommend you study it for yourself so that you can see in all of Revelation what this really is. Finally, John gives commentary on the messages. He says that this, or the messages that he just talked about, calls for patient endurance on the part of the people of God who keep his commandments and remain faithful to Jesus. So basically, saying that whoever calls upon the name, whoever believes in God and whoever is willing to remain faithful to Jesus will have to patiently endure these times, because it won't be easy and it won't be fun. But these messages and all of Revelation is given as a warning to us and a reminder that in the end times that we can rely on what's said here to be our prediction and our guidance to the future. Just like when Jesus spoke in parables, it's not always easy to understand, but the truth is contained within it, and if you study it for yourself, you'll see. So I encourage you to do so, and that's it for the lesson for this week. Hope that it was a blessing. Now I'm going to do my presentation, which is based off of Galatians chapter 3. We'll start by reading out a few verses. At verse 1, it says, O foolish Galatians, who hath bewitched you, that ye should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Jesus Christ hath been evidently set forth, crucified among you? This only would I learn of you. Received ye the Spirit by the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith? Are ye so foolish? Having begun in the Spirit, are ye now made perfect by the flesh? So Paul is asking the Galatians here if they have been bewitched, or rather if they've been tricked, that they're not obeying the truth. Because Jesus, he says, has been set before them, and they've been offered faith not by works, but they've been offered salvation by faith. So, saying that he would teach them, or he would learn them, that they receive the Spirit by the hearing of faith, not by the works of the law. And so they began in the Spirit and through Jesus, and he's asking them why now they've moved on to trying to be made perfect through the flesh. He says, Have ye suffered so many things in vain, if it yet be in vain? He therefore that ministereth to you the Spirit, and worketh miracles among you, doeth he it by the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith? So again he's asking, was all the things that you've done that Christ did in vain? And does the Spirit work among us by works or by faith? And the answer should be pretty clear. So he's saying that we're not saved by anything we can do, but rather through faith in Jesus, it says in verse 6 that even as Abraham believed God, and it was accounted to him for righteousness, know ye therefore that they which are of faith, the same are the children of Abraham. And the Scripture, foreseeing that God would justify the heathen through faith, preached before the gospel unto Abraham, saying, In thee shall all nations be blessed. So then they which be of faith are blessed with faithful Abraham. So what this is saying, it's a lot, but saying that Abraham, which Paul is using as an example, one of the founding fathers of Judaism, he's saying that Abraham believed in God, and Jesus hadn't come yet, but because he had faith, it was accounted as righteousness for him. And that's how we're able to be saved. They weren't saved truly until Jesus came, but their faith was counted unto them as righteousness, those who truly believed in God. He's saying that those who believe in faith are the children of Abraham, because when God made the promise to Abraham, saying all nations will be blessed, Jesus then came and he blessed all people through his Spirit, saying, through the Spirit, so now we're of faith. Now Paul is basically saying that we're the children of Abraham. And now he says that the heathen would be justified by God through faith. So now even those who aren't of Abraham's direct lineage can be the children of Abraham, and that the blessing of Abraham is given to them, which is salvation, and it's all done through faith. That's the beauty of the gospel of salvation. It's not just to a select few or to those who can afford it, who are to a select lineage. And it's not based on anything we can do, because in the end we can never be perfect. It's based only on what Jesus has done for us. We have a part to play, but our salvation is through Christ. So that's what we can rest and rely on. And we have to remember that it's only through faith. That's the reminder for this week, and I hope that it will be strength and encouragement to your faith. I hope you all have been blessed and will enjoy your Sabbath. See you next week.